Good morning, everybody. I've been trying to go live all week long. Goodness gracious, it's like Friday already. But here we are. So I wanted to share a few things with you guys and say welcome if you are new to the nutrition group. Welcome, glad you're here. It's going to be great. This plan is extremely simple. And I think the more you get accustomed to it, the more you will find like it's actually truly a really, really simple way of thinking about food, preparing food, meal planning, making food for your family, making food for yourself. So Justin and I have been doing this since I guess it was like the middle of May. So this is like month 4 for us. And we feel great. Like we feel really good. It's working. And so many of you who are sticking with the plan are having amazing wins. So please keep sharing your wins. Please, if you have done it kind of like half-heartedly or you've committed and then fallen off the bandwagon and then popped back on, like that's okay too. Like you don't have to be perfect. But the more consistent and intentional you are with this, the more results you're going to have and the better you're going to feel. And, you know, people have different reasons for doing this. Some of you have extensive autoimmune or, you know, crazy gut infections and gut health issues. Some of you are just like grasping at straws to try to like drop some pounds and lose some weight and inflammation. Regardless of why you're doing this, I would just encourage you to stick with it because your reason for doing it is really important. And I also think that in terms of like long-term health and longevity, being intentional about our food choice is actually really important. And I think too many people don't. Like they just don't, they're not willing. They don't have the discipline to stick with it. And honestly, I think the reality is like we live in a world where it is a battle. Like because nothing in our world that's convenient is typically very healthy. And so it's like causing us to have to make some countercultural choices when it comes to our food and what we're doing, what we're eating. And this plan is definitely easier to stick to when you're home. And when you're in charge of the grocery shopping and you're in charge of the meal planning and you're in charge of the meal prepping, but it's also not impossible when you go out. You just have to be creative. And it's kind of like good, better, best. So best is when we're at home, but also you can still choose the good when you're out and about, you know, if you're traveling or if you're out for dinner or with friends, and it's not impossible. And honestly, restaurants are used to people having dietary restrictions or requirements anymore, with a lot of different people having gut health issues and addressing it and not just band-aiding it with, you know, different things, but are willing to, you know, ask the kitchen to just make a plain hamburger without any sauces or seasonings or spices added to it, or to request that they use olive oil to cook your vegetables in and not seed oil. Or, you know, if you're out for Mexican food, it's like, hey, can you bring me a guacamole salad? Like they can do that. You don't have to have the chips. So it's just, you know, being prepared and thinking ahead of time of like, okay, what, and even looking at the menu, like you can pull up restaurant menus before you go so you can like have a plan. So you're not just like sitting there stressing like, oh my word, like what am I going to have? Like there's literally nothing that's on plan on this menu, you know? So if you can prepare ahead of time so that you're not, you know, making, you know, spur of the moment decisions and or having a lot of feelings pop up because, you know, you're making different decisions than most of the people that are sitting at the table, right? So anyways, I'm going to lay out the plan for all of you really quickly, hopefully. It's already written, like in a written format, but I know some people just prefer like, hey, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. So a couple of quick tips would be go print the lists. Or the files, and then, well, I guess actually it's the files. Go print the files. The food lists are there, and it's going to make it so much easier. So whether you're in like phase 1, phase 2, or moving into phase 3, wherever you're at with the program or with the process, you have a written hard copy that you can put on your fridge. You can stick one in your purse. You can take screenshots on your phones, but I do like having a hard copy, and then you can like circle the foods like that you're going to focus on. And it's not complicated. Honestly, it's really not. And it doesn't really take that much more time because, you know, how many hours are we spending each week making food? Like if you're home cooking for kids, like you're probably spending hours in your week doing that kind of thing. And a friend of mine told me, she's like, actually, it's not taking me longer to eat this way. She's like, because I was prepping food before, but instead of like making multi-step casseroles or whatever you make, it's like one ingredient foods and different kinds of veggies. And a lot of times the grocery stores have veggies prepped anyway. So you're not having to go wash a bunch of lettuce, salad, spin it and chop it and then chop. You know what I mean? Like a lot of stuff comes pre-chopped if you need like fast and efficient. Costco, Walmart, like those stores have a lot of that already done. Or a lot of veggies, even at Aldi, you can like rinse the broccoli or rinse the asparagus, lay it on in a tray, olive oil, throw some salt, pepper, whatever, squeeze a lemon, and pop it in the oven for a quick little heat and to cook it. Sorry. So anyways, it doesn't have to be crazy labor intensive. It's mostly figuring like the thinking space around it. And sometimes I think we think because we're thinking about it so much that it's creating that much more work for us, but it's basically just like learning a new way. Learning a new way. But it gets easier once you do it more. Make sure you go to the grocery store and then have a meal plan. Just something simple, something basic, and that way you know ahead of time and you can pre-think, and it takes the drama out of it. So it's not like always lingering on the back of your mind, like, what am I going to fix? What am I going to fix? What am I going to fix? Because you already have a plan, because you've pre-thought about it. One little tip that was a good reminder, which I've heard this over the years, but just a good reminder, don't drink a ton of water with your meals. Drink your water like 30 minutes before you eat and or 30 minutes after you eat. Very little. If you have to have a little bit with your meal, like that's okay, but you don't want to dilute your stomach acid. And I've been reminding my kids, like, don't drink gobs and gobs with your food, because you're actually making it harder for your body to digest the food. So anyways, that's a little quick tip. And that, I mean, even that right there, sometimes it's the most basic things, like kick off your morning with a big tall glass of water. Instead of reaching for coffee and creamer, hydrate your body. Same with, don't drink copious amounts of water or whatever other beverage with your meal, because it'll help your body assimilate the nutrients better. Okay, so in terms of the plan, if you are starting from square one, you just joined this group and you're excited to kick off, number one thing I want you to start doing is the avoids list. We did that for about, 7 to 10 days before we launched into the actual protocol, the program, and it was good. Like most of it we weren't consuming anyways. Some of it we had a little bit of. And one thing that I will say, if you're dairy free and you're doing a lot of coconut and almond milks, those are full of gums that will wreck your gut. So one of the things on the avoid list that I was getting in my diet was from the organic non-dairy milks. So you might check that, go look and just go back to label reading. I know we all get in our mode of we know this is healthy, but you may want to stop and just double check. And sometimes we get into habits where it's we're just out of convenience, sheer convenience. It's we're morphing into macaroni and cheese, French toast, grilled cheese, kind of rinse, wash, repeat with the kids. And then by default, we're kind of eating a lot more of that stuff than we probably should be eating. So start with the avoids list. And then one thing that I noticed, and then some other friends have said too, is when you have young children at home, or a lot of times the cleanup crew is the kids don't finish their scrambled eggs. Well, we don't want to dump fresh, amazing, great scrambled eggs down the drain or into the trash can. So we just eat that. And the one thing that this plan showed me, and also at least one other friend of mine, was how many calories we're consuming, that we didn't even realize we were getting, because we're just cleaning up after our kids after they eat their food. So it's really, really great for awareness. Sometimes we learn how undisciplined we are. Sometimes we learn how much we emotionally eat. Sometimes we learn how much of a lack of intentionality we've had towards food. Even within intentionality, sometimes it can still be oh wow, if you compare what you have been currently consuming compared to what this food plan is, it's okay, yeah, I am pretty far off base. Or there's a lot of XYZ slipping in. Even though I am pretty much primarily eating this, there's still, some things that I'm getting out of just maybe a lack of intentionality, or, what's the word? I don't know if you want to call it lack of discipline, but just an unawareness of how that could be impacting us, either from a weight standpoint, an inflammation standpoint, or absorption standpoint, whatever. Okay, so you want to start the avoids list, and then you want to schedule in when you're going to do your fast. Now, some people are only want to do a 1-day fast. If that's you, totally fine. Some of you want to do the full 3-day fast. That's totally fine. We recommend either the 3-day reset by Plexus, or you can do a bone broth fast. Now, I will say 3-day reset from Plexus is way easier than the bone broth fast. I thought the bone broth fast was incredibly hard. I don't know if it just hit me, in my cycle in a wrong timing, which it was. But so recommend if you are a cycling, you still get your period lady, I would highly recommend doing your fast in the first half of your cycle after your period. So don't do it right before your period. It'll make it harder. So just a little quick tip there. But you also need to consult with your doctor, because not everybody is a candidate for fasting. So just a reminder, and especially if you're going to do the hardcore 3 days of bone broth fasting, your body will detox. And there's actually, if you look under the resources post, there's a book in there that will go hour by hour what's happening to your body during a fast. I wish I would have had that, because I think it would have really helped my brain to just know, okay, this is what's happening. This is why I don't feel great. So just if you're a researcher and a learner and you feel like you do better when you're doing something hard like that with information, go check that out. I think there also are some video resources too, where you can see what's going on. So schedule in when you're going to do that. If you are, 2 or 3 months into this already and you want to do like a 1-day bone broth fast or a 1-day Plexus reset day, that's fantastic too. It's a great little just habit reset. And it's good. And especially if weight loss is a huge primary goal of yours, I would say not a bad idea. Okay, so you have your avoids list that you're doing, you have your 3-day reset, or your 3-day bone broth fast scheduled, and or you're doing it or have done it. Then you're going to roll into the phase 1. And that phase is pretty strict. So there's no grains, there's no dairy, and there's no eggs. And I'm going to go out on a limb, but I can pretty much guarantee you, if you follow that to a T, I mean, if you're 90% sticking with that, I don't know how you wouldn't lose weight and wouldn't lose inflammation and have a really solid awareness of what's going on in your body. Okay. So it is strict, but I promise you won't die. And the other thing is, it's very nourishing and it's very satiating. So if you look at what proteins you can pretty much have any protein that you want. Look at the fats, fantastic. Fueling from protein and fat, you may think that you already do that until you do this. And then you're like, oh, well, actually, I was getting a lot of my protein from dairy and meat sticks, beef sticks, and protein bars. And those are not nourishing. I mean, maybe for a quick, like if you're in an airport and you just are going to have a 12-hour flight and you're starving Marvin, okay. But besides that, like if you're a mom on the run and you're realizing that you're fueling from those types of things, not good. Not good for long term. So anyways, this will just help you reset your habits in that area. And you're not depriving. Like you literally don't have to cap how much you're eating. You're going to eat until you're full. And you're going to feel really amazing because you're fueling from fat and protein. And then you're going to have as many veggies as you want. So I used to make like a salad and maybe one veggie. Now I make multiple veggies at meals, and it's great. And I don't feel deprived one bit. So stay colorful with your plates. It's fun. If you need ideas, there's a bunch of visuals that I've posted in here for like what the plate could look like on a daily basis. Okay. Some of you have moved into phase 2, and that starts to gently add in, so you would get a little more variety with things. I am still in phase 2, and I also am no dairy, no grains, and no eggs. So it's not impossible to live that way. I promise it's not impossible. But that's just me. Some of you are ready for phase 3. And again, these are all in the files, so you can go print them out so you can get a visual on like what that looks like, what it is food-wise. Phase 3, okay, so those of you who are moving into phase 3 or want to know what phase 3 looks like, I think the bottom line is a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to do this for a month, or oh, I'm just going to do this for 90 days and see how it goes. And then you realize after doing it, like, oh, this is actually really doable as a lifestyle. And then you decide, well, it's not worth it to me to feel like junk after I eat XYZ, so I'm just going to stick with this as, the 95% of the time thing. So in my mind, this is like a long-term diet change and just living your second half of life requirement. Like to me, it's, I don't know. I think once you hit 40, you realize, maybe I can't binge eat, or maybe I can't eat like I once did and expect to still be healthy. Like my body is getting older and the abuse that I gave it earlier, or we just, is not possible or is not the healthiest way to live. And my body doesn't perform as well when I'm functioning that way or when I'm fueling that way. So anyways, I think it boils down to an awareness of this makes sense. This is nourishing, whole healthy foods, one ingredient foods that are actually nourishing your cells and keeping your gut healthy and absorbing things from your food. Because I think a lot of times we're undernourished because our guts aren't absorbing even the healthy foods that we're eating. Okay, so the idea is this is the reintroduction phase where you add in one food at a time, 3 days, do that for 3 days, pay attention to how you feel, what your symptoms are. And then if that food is totally fine for you, then you can add in moderation, add it back in. I would just encourage you not to, okay, get your piano books. Piano books. Is Daniel here? Okay. Okay, so you're adding those back in moderation. I would also say just be really aware. A lot of people are sensitive to dairy, eggs, and grains, and they don't realize that. They don't realize how sensitive they are, yet a lot of times that's what we're fueling from, myself included, and I cannot tell you how much less inflammation I have. I've lost, I don't know, I haven't stepped on the scale in probably a month, but around 14 pounds plus down. And my nutrition coach, she's like, she goes, weight loss or whatever. She goes, I actually call it inflammation. You've lost 14 pounds of inflammation in your body. So, and I've had a lot of people tell me similar stories like, wow, I'm down a lot of inflammation. I'm down on the scale. My clothes fit better. I feel better. I look better. My skin is better. My skin is clear, Okay. So the idea is we're sticking with the basics of phase 1 and 2, 9 cups of veggies per day, ample fat and protein. And let's see. Nuts in phase 3, they say is fine. Just they don't recommend peanuts. Peanuts are pretty high in mold, but you can do raw sprouted. You can do nut milks that you make at home. You can even do nut butters. So you can Google recipes for that. You basically just soak the nuts and then follow the directions there. Fermented foods are fine in phase 3 as long as your gut is not off. If it is, those foods can actually make it worse. So kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, yogurt, kombucha, that kind of thing. That is a great way to get good probiotics and nourish your gut, as long as your gut is in balance to begin with, or rolling into phase 3. But so basically the formula is for the meal would be protein, ample fat, veggies. And that's what you're fueling from. Now, let's talk about fruit. And this is my Achilles heel because I love fruit. But they recommend not doing more than 1 cup a day. So just be mindful of that. And also keep it low glycemic. So think berries and Granny Smith apples. We've had some other apples thrown in because we have apple trees and we also, it's apple season. So how can we not enjoy some Honeycrisp apples, right? But yeah, basically you want to limit your fruit so you're not totally throwing off your microbiome with too much sugar, even if it's natural fruity sugar. Same way with higher glycemic fruits. I think a lot of times we think, oh, a banana is healthy. Well, actually it's really high on the glycemic index. And unless you're a kid that goes out and jumps on the trampoline for 45 minutes after you eat that banana, it'll actually pack the weight on you. So I would say 100% stick to the plan, and stick with the berries. Because and that's a great little treat or fun to put on salads. Makes your plate colorful. It's a good little snack if you need something because you want to munch. But you just want to make sure that you're not kind of throwing off the plan or throwing off your gut by, eating copious amounts of watermelon or pineapple or mangoes. And again, it's not that you can never have that, but right now in the certain phases that you're in, you want to limit it and stick with the plan and fruits, low glycemic fruits and just basically berries and Granny Smith apples. Okay. And then sweeteners, for phase 3 would just be stevia, honey, dates, but just being really, really mindful of overall sugar intake. So that's it. That is the plan plus my rambly thoughts. But welcome to everybody that's doing this. I promise you it's doable. We're doing it. And I think the key is honestly just planning ahead and stocking up at the grocery store with the things that are on plan. So you have plenty of protein in the fridge or the freezers. Get some good quality olive oil. Go get the Aldi brand green, like it's not Kerrygold, I don't think. Maybe it is Kerrygold. Kerrygold version of butter. So it's like the grass-fed, super healthy kind. Did I say olive oil? Olive oil. Phase 2, you can have avocado oil and coconut oil. So you can kind of mix it up there depending on which phase you're in currently. And then just lots and lots of veggies, because that's where you're going to be fueling from. Protein, fat, veggies. Okay, if you have questions, please comment in the comments. I'm here to cheer everybody on and to encourage you guys. So looking forward to hearing your wins. Talk to you soon.